Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to Everything PT. My name is Manelia Plummer. I am the founder of this podcast. I work in an outpatient clinic. I've been a PTA for about 4 years, and I'm currently back in school at UCF to become a DPT, just finishing up my undergrad. Hopefully, later in life, later down the road, I can open up my own clinic and provide opportunities for PTAs and DPTs, occupational therapists, and all that great stuff. So if you watched my last episode, I said I wanted to start doing this icebreaker question, which basically is going to ask a question pertaining to physical therapy, whether it's funny, whether it's serious, whether it's you guys just getting to know me. But as it says, it's gonna break the ice and kind of get you guys a little bit more comfortable with listening to me. So the first question is, do I have any favorite success stories? And the answer to that is yes. And it actually didn't happen while I was a PTA. It happened while I was just a student in my clinical rotation. I had a young lady, and she was maybe late 30s, but she had GBS, which is Guillain-Barré. So GBS is basically a neurological disorder, and basically what happens is the immune system begins to attack itself, creating weakness, starting from the toes, coming up in those muscles and nerves. Um, they haven't found the specific cause to it. They don't know. But what they have correlated is that it usually comes after some kind of infectious disease, a bacterial, viral infection, whatever the case is. But that's when it usually comes. And I had a young lady, and we had worked together, and we had been doing just small stuff, preparing to walk. She was in a wheelchair, and she just did not have the strength to do it. And gradually, we basically kind of just began to increase those weight bearing activities. When we begin to increase those weight bearing activities, she asked me, she's like, hey, I want to kind of try to walk. So I got over in the parallel bars, and she took her first steps with me. And that was like such a glorious moment. And she was just like trying so hard not to cry. And I just looked at her and I said, you can cry. This is such a big moment. And when she began to cry, I started crying too. And it was just such a surreal moment because I was sure that I wanted to be a physical therapist assistant, a physical therapist, you know, at the end of my schooling. But this just solidified it for me. Like, you know, being that for her. And she was so grateful, of the time that I had spent with her to help her get back to where she wanted to be, where she needed to be. She had a family, and it was just really hard mentally for her to walk one day and wake up and start to notice these weaknesses. And mind you, she had been dealing with this for maybe about 8 months. So it was a real thing. It was a real ordeal. And that just solidified it for me, knowing that I could be such a help to her in that sense. But yeah, that's my icebreaker question. I know it kind of got a little serious. We'll try to do something funny next time. All right. But today's episode is basically going to talk about, so you want to be a PTA, you want to be a DPT. I'm going to basically go through some of the qualities that you probably should have if you want to, go down that route. Um, Again, it's not for everyone, y'all. Like I wish I can sit here and lie and say that this is for everyone. It's really not. And the first point I want to make is if you're doing it for money, it's probably not something that you want to do it for. You can probably just go be a MD or something, get into tech. There's so many more ways that you can make money. As far as DPTs, PTAs, for the most part, talking about DPTs, right? Let's start there. I was looking up the average, the average amount of money that a DPT PT makes, and this is all around, and it's $85,000 a year. Which that's a lot of money. But when you look at it in the sense of you go about $130,000 in debt, you're sacrificing 8 years of schooling. Again, at that point, just go do something else. Like, you can make good money being an accountant and not, you know what I mean? Like, it's not the thing that you want to do for money, because although that is good money, and this is just my personal experience, you guys. I live in the Orlando, Florida area. Middle class is now the poverty class. Like, I don't like, housing is expensive. Apartments are expensive. Honestly, making what I make, which I thought I made good money, has become not so much good money because of the way the economy has gone. And it's almost like you have to make $100,000 to live comfortably, and that is very sad that we've gotten to this place. And I want to say, and I want to say it with my whole heart, that if you're doing it for money, it's not a good reason to come into DPT. Or, you know, PTA is a little bit different, right? It is a 2-year degree when you fulfill your prereqs. For me, I had taken the time to basically get my AA, and then I got my PTA, so 4 years of schooling. And I didn't leave school with a lot of debt. It is, again, a 2-year degree. Financial aid covered a lot of it. And, you know, I made decent money coming out. When I got out of PTA school, I was offered $27 an hour. And of course, you know, you make sure you have benefits and all that great stuff because that stuff really matters. But yeah, that's what I was offered. And, you know, I live comfortably. Again, when you're looking at the quality of life and how much life actually costs, you know, it gets tough. You're going to have to budget. You're not balling. You're not, you know, Gucci purses. That's not where you're at. You kind of still have to watch your money, see what goes, and, you know, manage, you know. So that is very important. I mean, I think anyone at any level of how much they make have to manage money. But it's just, again, this is my personal, my personal feeling on it. It's not a ton of money. So don't do it for money, guys. Yeah. Like don't set yourself up. If you're doing it for money, just go do something else. Because 2, we have a job where it is demanding in the sense of you have to love people, like you have to be with people, you have to, you know, at least care for people. And I want to start off by saying this, and I probably should have made this my first point. I feel like, and this is again my personal beliefs, you're going to hear me say that a lot. There's a lot of people with a lot of opinions in this world, in any world, but this is just my personal belief. I believe physical therapy, life chooses you. You don't choose it. There has to be a oh snap moment of I want to be a part of this community because I want to help people. I want to help people get to their destination. I want to be involved in the fitness community. I want to be involved in making a change in the world. And with that involvement, it does require a lot. Again, if you listen to my first episode, which I really highly recommend that you listen to this stuff in order. But I had my own set of injuries, and I knew the importance of PT through my PT, you know, through my therapist. And although it was so hard and difficult for me to get through that journey of recovering from not 1, not 2, but 3 ACL tears, I admired my PT for where he got me. And so that was my oh snap moment of I became literally obsessed with the body's ability to heal itself through therapeutic activities, exercises, neurofeedback and stuff like that. And I love the creativity of our field. So that was just amazing to me, right? And that is why I love and will become a DPT because I believe in this field. And I'm not trying to be cliche, but I really do believe in what we do. Not only do I believe, but I've seen the evidence of what we do. And that is just, again, such an amazing thing to be a part of the journey of patients healing. So again, I feel like it should choose you. You don't choose it. And I really mean that wholeheartedly. Yeah. And then lastly, you know, it has to be more than having a job title. It has to be more than just having that doctor in front of your name for the people that are going for DPT. It is cool in the sense of, you know, we do, for at least for outpatient, we work in a gym-like setting. It is a cool job to have. But it does take a lot out of you. And that is why I say don't do it for money. There are times where I drive home in silence, and I wish I was making that up, but I do drive home in silence sometimes because of it in a way drains you. For me, I'm seeing a patient by the hour, right? So that's different personalities coming in and out the door, and it's nonstop. And some hours I'm seeing up to 2 to 3 patients. And I have seen, last week I saw 4 patients an hour. And that was, again, a lot of energy in one spot, a lot of adapting that I have to do from hour to hour, from person to person, and a lot of pouring out. And so with that being said, it is something that you have to have those qualities of wanting to help people, being a people's person. And let me just kind of brush on this too. I know I'm a little bit everywhere, but all you really have to do to become a therapist is get through DPT school and you know graduate with a bachelor's degree. Um, you do your interviews and stuff like that. But if you're smart, if you're, and then not even so much you have to be smart, but you have to be able to put in hard work to study and stuff like that. If you're a hard worker, you can become a DPT or PTA. Do I believe that should be it? No, I don't believe that should be it. And I'm just going to kind of give a little bit of a story time. But we had this young man, we worked in a clinic together. It was an outpatient clinic. And he just didn't like people, y'all. It was something that he verbally expressed. And I thought to myself, like, why come into this field? He was very analytical, which there's nothing wrong with being analytical, but he preferred to be alone. Meaning when he had a patient back, whatever, he would give them exercise, walk away, and go on his computer for until they waited for him to give them another exercise. That was like what it was. And patients hated going to him. And it got so bad that a patient wrote this review. And it's not funny, but it was kind of funny because we know who this particular person was. But the patient wrote this review and she was like, I'm never coming back to this clinic with this robot therapist. And he didn't really have a ton of personality and he had horrible people skills. And that is just one of the things where you have to know as a therapist, you are marketing yourself, you are marketing your personality. And so if you don't have personality, if you're this dry person, if you're, not involved in people, if you don't care to ask people how they're doing, how their children doing and stuff like that, it's going to make it very difficult for not only you, but for the patients to even want to be on your schedule. So I have never been the smartest in the room, y'all. Like that's not my forte. I graduated, for the most part 3.3, 3.4 GPA, but never was the smartest. But one thing I know, and I'm not saying this to brag on myself, is I can light up a room. And because I can light up a room, a patient really preferred that than, the analytical, give you all these big words and can't talk layman to me and all that stuff. Because there was this safety with me that they can talk to me about everything. And again, you kind of keep it professional within professional walls, but, kind of know how to gauge certain conversations. One of the tactics that I do is if a patient tells me that she's doing something over the weekend, when I see her that within that next week, I'm like, hey, how did that situation go? How did you told me you're going ice skating? How did that go? Or, you told me you were going out of town to see your son. How did that go? Did you enjoy yourself? So it is one of those things where you kind of got to have people skills. And I kind of say that, and I really mean that. It's not, it's not required, but it is a good thing to have. But thank you guys. I'm going to kind of wrap it up there. Thank you guys so much for tuning in, for watching. I am very excited about this podcast, y'all. I've kind of always wanted to start it and I just never did. And now I'm kind of moving and getting things done. If you guys can go over to my YouTube channel, Manelia Plummer, it'll be in the description, in one of the descriptions within this podcast, but go over there, check my videos out, subscribe, please. As I'm supporting you guys, please support me. And again, thank you so much. This is Everything PT, where movement is healing.